Hey, welcome back to our podcast, your go-to source for all things real estate and lifestyle in the heart of Fort Worth, Texas. I'm Jackson Christian Berry.
And I'm Jean Kristen Berry.
And together, we're here to guide you through the vibrant world of Fort Worth and surrounding suburb living.
We believe in creating a community where everyone feels at home. And that's why we're committed to bringing you honest, expert advice in a fun and friendly way. From the bustling streets of downtown to the serene suburbs, we've got the scoop on what makes each area unique.
Each week, we'll dive into the latest market trends, offer tips for both buyers and sellers, and share insider knowledge to help you make informed decisions. So whether you're a first-time home buyer, a seasoned investor, or just curious about some of the Fort Worth charming neighborhoods, you're in the right place. Let's jump into today's episode. Well, hey folks, and welcome back to Welcome Home Fort Worth. We're so excited that you have joined us this week. We are kind of continuing a theme through the month of April. These are airing in April, but as we explore kind of new construction, we've got a whole design episode. If it hasn't come out yet, it's coming out soon. That talks about new construction design trends and what we're seeing there, what that might mean for any homeowner across the area. But today we're talking specifically about, both buying new construction and what sellers need to know about new construction. And so let's just jump right in. What do you got for us, Mom?
All right. So one of the reasons we're really focusing on new construction is, those builders, they have these great buy down packages. They have great interest rates right now. Yeah. So for some people, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, they're not your traditional seller.
Yeah.
They are moving product.
They are.
That's their thing. And whatever they need to do to accomplish that goal, they will do.
And whether it means buying up loans.
Exactly.
Buying up any kind of benefits they can buy. And there are incentives.
The incentive programs they have, and even just the in-house loan programs they have, comparatively speaking, just for the monthly payment, you can't touch them. You just can't. There's no competition. Like your lender can get you maybe in the maybe low sixes right now if you got really good credit and you've got your finances kind of in order. But man, they can get you 4%. I've seen even some 3.9s for some builders. Not a lot,
especially on inventory.
It's a lot. They're doing that through buy downs. They're doing that through all that. And there's a lot of costs that go into that, right? So it's they're spending some of that incentive money towards buying down the rate, so you're not getting to put that into the home. But some of them do all of that and then still give you money to put it in the home.
Still give you money, and they'll let you take a certain amount of cash and either put it all or part of it to the buy down. Yeah, right. Or you can take part of it to the design center. So they're doing all kinds of really great combinations.
It's just, you got a lot of perks there. There's a lot of, now the only thing you trade off, right, is the location.
It's location.
Usually they're building into rural areas where where the development is headed, but it may not be there just yet. So you're not probably going to be in the middle of the city if you like being in the city. You're middle of the suburbia that's kind of built out. You're going to trade a location a little bit, but it's a new house.
Yeah, it is.
There's a lot of good stuff about it.
And if it's the kind of builder, where they've already got the design and they've already got the plans. Yeah. There'll be other plans kind of like yours, but they won't all be exactly like yours. So there's some trade-offs that go with new construction, but for a lot of people right now, the numbers are making a lot of sense.
Yes, yeah.
So it's kind of why we wanted to really focus on that today.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So what you will see out there is that any homes that they've already got built are almost completely done, where you don't have any options to choose anymore. Sure. So the floors are done, the lighting's done, the tile's done. So when you have those kind of inventory homes where they're going to be done and completely finished up in about a month or two, that's where the big deals, that's where the big deep deals are, because they're ready to move those. Right. So that's where you'll get really amazing interest rates and a lot of incentives. Yep. The cool thing right now about new construction is the builders actually have some decent inventory. Sure. So they've been building and, for a while there was no inventory and you had to stand in line to get a new construction home.
Yeah, you want a deal or two like that?
We did. We stood in a long line trying to get a home with some of our clients. Yep. But it's not like that now. So now a lot of the builders actually have some product that's already completed or about to be completed. Yeah. And they've got a lot of lots because they've been putting money into these developments.
Yeah, sure.
So that's going on. Builders, because they have more inventory, they're also more motivated.
Totally.
So they're super motivated to provide these incentives. They are real accommodating right now. If you have a house to sell. Yeah. Before, if you had a house to sell, they might not go under contract with you on a new construction.
Sure, right.
So now they're starting to allow contingent offers so that they'll let you do that, and they'll put that into the contract as well. So that's a new thing. That's fairly recent. They're also super accommodating and really welcoming to anybody that brings a realtor to represent them.
Yeah, within reason though.
Within reason.
I just got an email from a builder. I had some clients looking at a new build community, and the builder made, which is good. Not all builders do this. The builder was like, "Hey, just a reminder, like if you aren't there with the first meeting with your client, we aren't cutting you in, dude." That's just a standard to all realtors. Every single realtor. A lot of builders have a policy where it's like if that realtor is not involved from day one, they are not. We're not paying them. You could still bring a realtor in. The builder's just not going to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's you. So the burden would probably be on you at that point. Based on your negotiations.
Which is important because if you are considering new construction and you happen to be driving around, you either need to make sure you don't sign in with your name, or you wait for your agent to do that first visit with you if you want an agent to represent you.
Yep.
So that's pretty key. So a couple of things. Excuse me.
You're good. I got you.
You got me?
So there are 3 types of new construction, y'all. There are kind of their inventory that they already have ready to go. So the inventory that's kind of already built up, they're just waiting to move. You get the pre-designed homes, right? So this is more of your model home. There was a model, they're building 4, 6, 8 floor plans, but that's it. So it's not a custom. But then you do also have custom builders who build, work with you to figure out what exactly you want in the home. So I've seen kind of a mix of those two as well. I've seen got people who have kind of the base, model floor plan, but then you can add kind of these custom additions. You can add the dining room, addition to the thing if you want to, so you can build it out, kind of piece it together.
And with that, the first option, where you've got an inventory home, and then the second option of having specific plans.
Yeah.
So typically in those kinds of neighborhoods, the builder owns the lot.
Right.
They've already purchased all the land. Right. And so they don't require you to get your financing and to do a close or do a pre-construction loan. You don't have to do any of your financing until the closing. So that way you buy it a lot more like you would a pre-owned home.
Yeah, right.
So you just get your loan, your mortgage, they build the house, they finish it up, and then you close and you pay for it then.
Yeah.
So that's one way. When you go super custom and everything's custom, that's going to require a specific lender who's used to doing
construction loans.
Construction loans. You've got to close on that. You're going to be paying interest until the property is actually completely built and you can move in.
Yes.
So that's a little different too.
Yeah.
That's something that a realtor can service and help you with, which is finding that financing that you might need for a custom build.
We have a lot of clients who still to this day who just have no idea that realtors can be involved in a new construction. I don't think that's a very commonly talked about thing. Usually they think, I'm just going to talk to the builder. When they sit down and talk with the builder, it's like, why would I need a realtor? And so there's a whole conversation that we're going to get into today about kind of what we recommend when it comes to a realtor with new construction, and why we'd recommend that. But there's a lot of ways to play it, y'all. There's a lot of ways.
There are. There's a lot of different ways that a realtor can help you. So I want you to think about it like, a builder is actually a for sale by owner.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So the builder is selling his product. It's like him selling his own land. He's selling his own house, his own building.
Yeah.
So
his own investment.
His own investment.
It's really probably what he's thinking about. Yeah.
It is his money. It's his investment.
Yeah.
And he's going to do the most he can with it. That's just part of being an entrepreneur, right? So think of it that way. And so the builder's representatives that are manning usually the model homes, those are the people that have a lot of the information about the build out, the plans. They know about the products. Right. They know all about the hardware and the design. So those are specifically there to represent the builder.
Sure.
So they represent the builder. They do not represent, nor do they ever represent, and they'll tell you this. They're very clear. They don't represent you or your interests. They will be fair. They will tell you accurate information and truthful information, but they're not really thinking for you. Or
it's exactly. It is just keep that in mind. Nobody's fact checking things on your end. Now, the builder should be lending and the builder should be operating in good faith. Sure. There's a lot of just things that they have to operate in because they are selling a product like a home. But yes, there's nobody necessarily checking to make sure that you are fairly represented in the market that you are buying in the area you're buying in, giving you the context to understand that decision.
Yeah, they may not be, they won't be giving you comparable sales information.
Yeah.
They also will not be, they won't be thinking about what it is you're trying to accomplish with your build out.
Yep.
And so they won't be thinking of the questions that need to be asked for that specific build out.
Yep.
So that's where a realtor can really step into the gap, because there's a gap there.
Yeah.
and can help with that gap. Sometimes these representatives, they're licensed and sometimes they're not. But they are there and they're paid by the builder.
Right.
So that is how they get paid. They're always well versed in the product because they go through training to get well versed in the product. They know what can be added, what cannot, and how to add it, and those kinds of things. They also have a direct line to the builder. So they are the ones that can get information from the builder for us and can also take care of questions that we may have that they don't know about. They're there to display all the goods. They show you the tile. They show you the carpet. They talk to you about in the model home what is upgraded and what's not. Their job is really hard. I mean, my hat is really off to a lot of these builder reps. They see hundreds of people that pop in and pop out, and they want to see models and they have questions, and they're bombarded all day long with tons of questions from tons of people. They don't always know exactly who's doing what sometimes because of so much action and activity that happens in a model home.
That comes to them.
It comes right into them.
It's not you doing a showing at a property where the seller's just at. No, it's coming.
They're manning business all day long. It's a lot to juggle. For that reason, there is a gap there because they're manning so much activity and so many people. It's very difficult for them to know specifically your concerns, your needs, to remember all of that and keep that all together.
Well, and again, like, why would they? I don't mean to be like builders are great people. Like, I do not want to speak bad. Builders I really appreciate what they do for the industry, especially with what's been going on with interest rates. Like, they've really continued to keep things going, which has been awesome. But yeah, like, why would they? You aren't the person paying them. You aren't the person. You're not. Why are they hired? Why are they there? They're there to move the product, right?
Yeah. They want to make a sale.
And they want to make a sale. Yeah.
They want to sell you a house. And most people that pop in want to buy a house. And so there's a match there. The only time that we really see things get difficult is in that gap place again. Usually it has to do with communication, has to do with clarification. And it has to do with the fact that sometimes people that are buying a new construction home don't know the questions to ask.
Totally. That's right on.
They just don't know what they don't know. So then they get into the build out and they were like, oh, I didn't know that was what I was doing. Why are we doing it that way? So that's where we see a lot of the gap come in. And that, again, is where an agent can help with somebody who's doing new construction.
Well, how do you usually, like, I know the answer to this, but I'm asking you so you can speak about it.
Of course.
How do you go about doing that? How do you as a realtor, what are you doing to prevent that gap from existing?
So what we do as an agent is, first of all, we're going to make sure that we have the conversation and take the time with you personally.
What's your goals?
Find out what your goals are. What kind of house are you building? How are you going to use it? What do you not like?
What's the goal here?
What's a deal breaker? What's not? Those kinds of things. So we're doing that from your perspective, not from the builder and the product perspective, but from you as a buyer. So that's the first thing. Secondly, we know the process. So all builders do basically the same kind of a process when they construct.
You build a house.
They're going to have a design center meeting. There's going to be a pre-construction meeting. They're going to make sure of the architecture of the house. There's going to be a pre-sheetrock meeting.
Well, permitting even before all that too.
There's going to be a 60-day period of permitting at the very beginning, where they're going to be talking with you about that. There's deposits that are required at the beginning. And then at the end, there's a walkthrough. Before that, if you have an inspection. So the process is very similar for most builders. The contracts are not. So every builder creates their own contracts. So they will get with a legal team, and they will specifically, over the things they want protected in a contract, they will develop their own contracts. So you go to 3 different builders, you may get 3 different contracts.
Hey everyone, real quick before we get back to the show, if you're on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, we'd love to connect with you. We post a lot of content like this in case you miss an episode, along with more Fort Worth and surrounding suburb local insights and finds. You can find our team at the Christenberry Group on all social platforms, or you can connect with Jackson and I personally on our Facebook and our Instagram accounts. Just be prepared for lots of pictures of my grandson on either account. Now back to the show.
So again, that's where a realtor who's accustomed to reading contracts can also walk you through the contract and help you understand what's being discussed in those contracts. And if you get to something that's weird or unusual, they can always recommend, an attorney to look over that. We have real estate attorneys with our title companies can look over things. So those are some services that a real estate agent can also bring. The other thing is that Sometimes you'll get some incentives from a builder about financing, and they look great.
Yeah.
And so people just won't shop it.
They look at the interest rate.
Yeah.
And the interest rate isn't telling the whole story. Exactly.
Yes, because the APR, there's a lot of costs involved with the loans.
Well, and the way the incentive is being used.
Yes.
Is the incentive being used to buy it down to get you that rate? Or are you getting that rate from their in-house lender first and no incentives are being applied to it? So you still have the chance to do that. There's a lot of ways to build it.
And when we see some of those kinds of things that don't make sense as an agent, then we can also recommend that you talk to another lender and do some shopping and just compare.
And know your options.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We know the things that you are able to do throughout the process. And so we can give you, hey, like, yes, you can do that. However, you also have these other options available to you if you'd like that. Exactly. And you may not know that.
Right.
Because you just are like, I'm ready to move into my new house. It looks super pretty because it's a new build. Like, it's just so nice, and the interest rate looks so good. So,
And you are ready and you do want to move in, and you do want to move forward.
Yep.
We just want to make sure you know your options.
Yes.
And that you research them to get the best deal. Again, we know the questions to ask, and a lot of times I'll be in a session with a client and with the buyer, the builder's rep, and we'll be talking and they'll be going through the things that they want. And one of the things that a lot of people forget to ask is that they get turned on with the model and they love the model. But then maybe because the rep's busy, they just neglect to tell them how many things in that model are upgrades.
Yes, totally.
And so they think that everything's standard.
Sure.
So one of the things we always do is we always get our clients to get a list from the rep of all the standard features. And we go through that and make sure that everything they want is included in that. And if not, we have an idea of what that's going to cost.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also very, what is the way? This is very high service that you instill in our team. This is what you've always done. But I think it's so interesting. I don't know that everybody does this. And I know that in the age of, iPhone users who just hit the accept button on contracts.
It's easy.
You just say accept and move on. And you're just like, I hope that they don't.
Hope there's not a problem.
I hope that's not an issue. And you just kind of move on. I think a lot of folks do that with new builds. They just kind of, cool, that interest rate looks good. This house looks great. Sign, done. Yeah. And it's like, the service piece you instill in team is that you read through the contract.
Absolutely.
You read over the contract and you read through it. Now, we're not attorneys, so we can't, advise on that, but you're at least aware of what that your client is jumping into. And you've made sure that the team continues that tradition, and that we do the same thing. Yeah.
Because I know that I would not want to be getting into a contract with something in that contract that I didn't understand.
It's that expensive too. It's a home. It's a real estate asset. Like it's a huge expense for somebody to not read the contract getting into it. Yeah. So to do that on somebody's behalf is really helpful.
Yeah. And I think that is going to be, a lot of times, like you said, people just click it and do the easy thing.
Yeah. And this is standard, right? This is fine. Yeah.
And those contracts really do vary. Now, I'm not saying that we can get the builder to change the contract.
Right.
Because most of the time, I've never seen a builder change a contract because they've spent a lot of time and money with their legal team getting protected.
Exactly what they want.
Which is what I would do too if I was a builder.
Yeah.
So, I get that. At the same time, you need to know what you're stepping into.
Exactly.
One of the things that's a very common clause in one of the contracts is that at any point in time, if there's a material that's unavailable, that they can substitute.
Yeah.
And not everybody knows that. And that is where people get so crossways later. If we can go through the contract and clarify everything at the beginning of what you're getting into, then when that comes up, later
you knew it was coming.
It's like, I knew it was coming. They're not upset. They're not worried. They're like, is this anything else we can do about it? There's no other options. Okay.
Well, and if that was a deal breaker for you, then you knew from the get-go, don't get into it.
You would have gotten it if you go to custom build. That's what you would do next.
Where they can guarantee it.
So that's part of the piece that we service and how we help our clients.
Sure.
Again, fill in the gap. That's the way I really envision it. Is it's really a gap between the builder and the builder's rep and the client, and that's really where we step into the gap.
Yep.
The other thing you want to do is we can negotiate for you. So there's markets and there's certain neighborhoods because of the demand that we can negotiate price in. We can negotiate incentives in. Depends a lot on what's going on with it. It's very hyper local again. It depends on the builder, how strongly they want to get rid of their product.
Right.
Depends on how much demand they're getting.
Yeah, and that's but this is the same for any neighborhood, anywhere. And that's just the way real estate works. Yeah, exactly.
So that comes in there also.
Yeah.
We don't tell our clients we can get you $50,000 less on your price.
Yeah, because you can't guarantee that.
We can't guarantee that. We don't know that. But we can negotiate for you. We can, if you want a refrigerator thrown in, we can know how to ask for that.
Sure.
So there's things that we can do with that.
Yep.
The other thing that we do is we attend inspections.
Yes.
So we walk through and attend inspections.
And we teach like your options with inspection, because a lot of folks approach it like they would just buying their own home, which is fine. It's totally fine. You get after everything's built out, everything's ready to go, then you get inspection. Kind of before you do it, you can do pre-drywall inspections. You have options with when you do. It depends on how much you want to know about this house. Do you want to know the bones of it? Do you want to know everything about it? Because you can have it inspected every step of the way, or at least negotiate for that, if you want to. And I think just we know the options that are available to you inspections, and we know is it serious? We know the things. Yes, we can help you contextualize. Hey, this is a huge deal. This is going to affect like the integrity of your home or whatever.
Right.
Or hey, this is a thing. We can negotiate whatever you want to negotiate. But this thing is it's a $25 thing or whatever.
Yeah, and put it in, like you said, put it in context. Right. Along with that, a lot of times when we talk to the reps, they have contractors that are in that neighborhood that are working. Yeah. That after you close, they can do a lot of things that you want done and pretty reasonably. Yeah. So we've got that options to do too. Pre-drywall, a lot of times we'll recommend to our clients, let's make a video so you know where the wires are in the wall, things like that. So there's all kinds of little tricks and things that you can do to help understand your house better, right? And third-party inspections. I mean, that is something that we recommend to all of our clients.
Totally.
You think it's new, they're going to fix everything, it's going to be all right. Can't tell you how many times you get a pretty good list of items that need to be addressed that should be addressed in your punch list before closing.
Or how many times that we've shown homes where you walk, it's a 2022 build or 2021, so it's relatively new. But there's just like that stud is a little farther out than all the other studs, and you can just see that in the wall, and it's like, what? Like, what? That's obviously just the builder thing. The inspector confirms it when the inspection. It's just like, what? Like, so it helps you to be aware of those things.
It does, and the builders are okay with that. Yeah, they're okay. They know that you can get an inspection. Yeah. They just tell you when you need to get it done. Yeah, long as you follow within their guidelines of how they do things. There's a lot of things that you can do to take care of yourself.
Yeah. Just depends on how much you want to do.
It does.
But again, going back to options, like you probably would not have known that unless you were researching it, right? Like which a lot of folks I hope do before they go and just purchase.
Absolutely.
But we're also glad to help you do that as well. So.
Yeah. And builders will pay for a realtor. Mm-hmm. So the commission can be paid for by the builder, and then you get your representation. A lot of builders who really are accustomed to working with agents like to work with us because they know that we can reduce a lot of their headaches. Yeah. So that
it's clear communication.
We're all the same team. We're all trying to get to the end where our client has a great house. Right. So that's what we're trying to do. Now, a couple of things about sellers. Mm-hmm.
Yes. What does a seller need to know about new construction? You're like, what? Why do I need to care about new construction? I'm a seller. I'm selling my house. Well, there's a lot of reasons you need to know about new construction. Well, I'm going to jump ahead, and you can take us back to our little, notes. But one of the things I noticed the most is that new construction can be one of the main things we need to look for when it comes to pricing your home.
Absolutely, yeah.
If we're not evaluating what options folks have when it comes to the new construction market, and we're not taking that into account, and we're only pricing you with homes that were built around the time you were, we are not taking into account the competitors that you have on the market today. Mm-hmm. And so that's a big oversight, truly, to not do it that way. And so we want to make sure that we're tracking that, we're seeing that, we're taking that into the CMAs to say, here's what new builds are selling for, based on your home and whatever, updates you've made to it or whatever. Here's where it probably sits in comparison to that. Now, that is probably more related to areas where like there is new build nearby. I don't necessarily see, for example, if you're in a super, built out area like HEB or something like that, really like Hearst. I'm just thinking about Hearst because there's just so much happening in Hearst now. Hearst is not going to be, if there was new builds may not affect Hearst as much because folks looking at Hearst, there's not a lot of new build options around. There are some custom builds in North Richland Hills. Euless has a lot of new builds going in there, but Hearst specifically, it's like, maybe not as much. Mm-hmm. But if you're in Saginaw, for example, Saginaw for sure. Saginaw has a ton of new builds coming in through it. And so you better be taking that into account with your CMAs for sure.
Yeah, because buyers are going to be shopping that.
Exactly.
if you can get something in the same kind of range, it's a new construction. So yeah, that's super important when we're running comps for people to list their houses. And speaking of listing houses, so one of the best ways we can help a seller when it comes to new construction is going to be around contingent offers.
Mm.
So like we were saying earlier, a lot of the builders are beginning to allow and being more comfortable with contingent offers.
Sure.
So if you have a house to sell and you want to move one time, and then you want to move into your new construction home, but it's going to be 6 or 8 months before your house is ready. So a lot of the builders will really work with us, and we go ahead and we do a contingent write-up in the contract.
Yeah.
So we have actual legal language to support you in the contract. And then they want the product, they want your listing to be on the market usually by framing date. So by the time they're starting to frame is when they'd like to see you on the market.
Sure.
They usually ask of us to provide them with the listing agreement to show how serious you are, that you're really going to list.
That you're doing it.
And they also want us to do a comprehensive market analysis for your property. And that way they know if you're being realistic about your pricing and if you're a good risk for them
Right.
to see about building this house for you when you go to sell a house.
Yeah.
So if those things are done, then they will look at going under contract with you, getting your house started and building. And some of the builders even have ways for you, if for some reason something unusual occurs and you don't sell your house or you don't sell it in the time frame that they want you to sell it in, a lot of them have some places in the contract where they'll let you get your earnest money back.
Sure.
Or they'll extend the time.
Yeah, right.
As long as you're working with them, which is what we do, then they usually will be very accommodating about that because they want to sell you that.
Yes. Yeah. They want to move the product. Yep.
They do. They do. You know, and they're going to want a percentage of your design that you pick, of the design money that you spend. They want a percentage of that in a deposit. So that way, if you did some unusual, creative things that they would have a hard time selling later, that they've got some money there to back that up. So we can help with contingent offers. We work really well navigating. Realtors work great with navigating with builders to get that done.
Yeah.
It's important to coordinate the sell and the buy. So if we get an offer on your house and you want to move once,
That's
we got to make sure that we've been communicating with your builder. We know really realistically when a good close time is going to be.
Yeah, totally.
So those are kind of all things to know as a seller when you've got something to sell and you're looking at new construction. There are some agents that will provide discounts to you if you do 2 deals. If you do the contingent
buy and the
sell and the buy.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that you can ask, you can talk about. So, you know, the other thing is financing, of course. You know, if you're going to be doing financing for your new construction house, then we can help you with that.
Yeah, with their in-house lender.
With an in-house.
Yeah, if you consider their in-house lender, maybe checking against the lenders in the area. And we've got trusted lenders that we work with that we've had on the podcast.
Yeah.
So
and helping you know how to compare apples to apples.
Yep.
You know, it's one thing to get a quote from this lender and that lender, but if you don't have the same information you're looking at to compare, then you're not really comparing anything.
Yeah. What is the? I always forget the name of it, but what is the name of the when you get pre-qualified with the lender, or they are required to send you initially a closing, something like a closing disclosure.
Like a fee sheet.
It's a fee sheet, but it's like that. It's a there's a name for it. Anyways, every lender is going to send you a breakout of what they're doing for you. You know, here's your interest rate. Here's how much money that they're taking out of the cash to close or whatever. It wouldn't be cash to close on that one, but out of the money that you're putting forward to bring down your rate. And so those disclosures, having those next to each other, can be what let you truly compare apples to apples. I think that's one of the best ways to do it.
And that's why you need to compare them.
Yeah.
So so you know, think about using a realtor whenever you're thinking about new construction.
Yeah. Well, just know that you can. That's the thing. Just know that you can. Know that realtors do that. And really, I mean, it's a really easy way to have somebody in your corner the whole way through, making sure that you're taken care of, making sure you're getting what you want when you want it being the key word there. So yeah,
we see that a lot with people if they've got really busy jobs, if they're traveling a lot, maybe they're moving in from out of state. Yeah, they need kind of boots on the ground. Yeah, and so that's another place how an agent can really help. Yeah, just being your boots on.
Yeah, being around totally.
We do a lot of videos for a lot of our clients.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have all the new iPhones for all of the best video qualities.
Yeah, so we can video your new construction.
That's right. That's awesome.
Where are you?
Yep, cool. Well, anything else?
I think that wraps it up.
Cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's got our buyers and our sellers and kind of the process of new construction.
Yeah, that's really, really good stuff for new construction people. If you're considering new construction, let us know. We've got some options that we can send your way that we think are that we've done business with.
Yep. You can help us shop builders.
We help you find them.
Yep.
Builder web. It's kind of hard to find them somehow, or sometimes because they're just. It's the builder's website is where the inventory is, and so you have to go search on a lot of different builder websites to figure out where new communities are. So it's a lot of fun though. It's a lot of fun to shop new construction.
Yes, it is. It is fun to create a house.
Totally, yeah, and to have a new product, it's just awesome. So cool, y'all. All right, well, we sure do appreciate you joining us for Welcome Home Fort Worth this week. Hope this new construction tips and tricks was helpful, and we'll catch you back next week. As always, thank y'all for tuning in.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for watching the podcast today. If this has been valuable for you at all, we sure could use your help getting the word out to more people. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, go ahead and give us a follow and consider taking just maybe 2 minutes to leave us a review. Both do wonders for our show with the algorithm, and on both platforms, all you gotta do, head over to our show page. On Spotify, hit 3 dots and select rate. And on Apple, all you gotta do is just scroll down to the show and say leave a review. So just click that. If you're seeing this on Facebook or Instagram, a like or comment puts all the good vibes out in the algorithm for us. And on YouTube, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can be notified whenever we post a new episode. Join us again next week for more Fort Worth housing news and updates. Until then, y'all have a great week.